Another Global League map. This one, I do not believe I deserve the win, at least not yet. So I'm going to show the fog for me, so you'll only see it with, you'll only see my perspective on this. Okay, I guess you can also see my opponent's movement, but you'll see what's in my vision, so pretend that you don't know anything else on this map, and that so, because I'm here to teach how I think and what's my thought process for when I make my moves. So as always, we both of us go for our neutral bases, and so yeah, go for your neutral base first. I chose to go for the property on the right side because there's a capture chain. Once I finish capturing this property, I can move on to the next property. And I go north because there's another property up there that's 2 turns away. The property down south to the left side of the bridge, after I capture the base, I'll just move up to that property, so I can just ignore that one for now. Oh, so this map, why did I pick Andy? I was going to pick Drake, but like I said in the previous game, I love battlecopters. So if I was going to pick Drake, chances are my opponent would pick Drake as well, and Andy's kind of a counter to Drake. So I just picked Andy. I'm not saying Drake battlecopters are bad, they're still strong. But it's the combination of Andy counters Drake, and the fact that I was going to pick Drake means that my opponent would probably pick Drake. So I might as well get good battlecopters along with it. So I did not know this at the time because it was fog. My opponent is actually going for the center properties first instead of the property that's 2 turns away from the base. I don't agree nor disagree with it. Both of them are viable, I would say. And I have not been attacking the pipe seams at all. I knew my tanks that there's no way the tank's getting out, so I might as well just leave the pipes there. I see no reason to attack it. The battle would never get that far anyway. But the tank does provide decent vision until then. Yeah, just normal capture phase. Actually, I'm just gonna skip my... There isn't really much I see other than the normal capture game of my opponent. Oh, you attack it so your opponent's for... Well, I suppose. But I'm going to build an artillery just to get that extra 1,000 income from the property anyway. I suppose attacking it would force your opponent to build an artillery, but the artillery is going to be built regardless, just so you can get that property. Yeah, I see, but then again, there's no harm in attacking it, so there's no reason not to attack it. Yeah, that's true, that's true. So yeah, maybe it's better to always just attack the pipe seam to force an artillery whether or not your opponent wants it anyway. Yeah, yeah, I agree. You're right here. There's no reason not to attack it, but there may be a potential benefit to attacking the pipe seam, so it is better to just attack the pipe seam to force something your opponent may not actually want. In my case, I did want to build an artillery, but I see the merits of attacking it as there are no downsides to not doing so. So yep, so that tank's dead. The pipe survives at 2 HP. So it's almost dead, but since the tank's dead, the pipe is essentially irrelevant now. So my capture order on the right, I know my opponent is at the center property, so I'm shifting my infantry further right, and there's no reason to fight for the center this early on. I don't have my vehicles nearby, and I can't trust my opponent not to have vehicles. So I rather focus on the sides than the center. I feel like there's more properties to be earned fighting on the side than there are to be at the center. I did not notice while playing the game, but my opponent did send a relatively large army in the center, and I was not ready to respond to it. I was just minding my own business, capturing, and then I see that. 3 infantry and a recon ready to attack my infantry. I probably should have just pulled my infantry back, but I thought maybe I could get my tanks in time. Strangely enough, even though Drake is a stall CO, my opponent did go more aggressive than me in the center. Why anyway? Oh yeah, you don't need to hide your artillery. Your opponent knows it's coming. Like they will see something shot your tank, and they know that it has to be an artillery. So kills my infantry, and then begins capturing my property. So I looked at this map and I thought my tank is nowhere near the center. I'm going to gamble that my opponent's tank is also nowhere near the center, and it's just one fast recon going ahead. So what I thought is, it's pretty much a free shot on the infantry capturing my property. I see no reason not to attack it. Tanks probably aren't going to make it. And if a tank was going to make it, it would be making it to his center property and not mine. So, and in this case, it was the case where his tank could only reach near my recon but not actually shoot it. So I continue capping my property. I built a second recon to defend my HQ because I saw how close I am to my opponent's HQ, and I thought it's entirely possible that Drake may try to pull an HQ cap on me, considering the bases are pretty far away from your own HQs. I built an anti-air, like Drake's battlecopter are weaker, but if you don't have any response to battlecopters, it might as well just be. I mean, battlecopters are still strong regardless. So I'm building an anti-air just in case. And this is where I disagreed with my opponent a little. He decided to join cap. Okay, I don't agree nor disagree, but I lean on the side of it's not. Yeah, I disagree. Tanks aren't going to make it, and I was going to leave that property anyway. I don't believe in fighting battles. Oh, middle pipe seam. I don't break it. I feel like it's a waste of time considering I'm sending most of my units left to threaten the HQ because HQ capping seems at least somewhat viable in this game. And it also appears that maybe I would break it if the battle was at my HQ, but in this case, well, even if it's at my HQ, I might not choose to break it because sometimes I may like using pipe seams to protect my indirects. Maybe it's not that strong on this map, but I typically don't break things because I see them as defensive positions which I can hold because no units can cross the pipe seams. But in this case, I feel like breaking the pipe seam is just a waste of time for me. You'll probably, like, the only thing slowing you down to your own HQ beside the pipe seam would be a single forest tile. So if I go up to cross the pipe seam instead, I save one movement tile to my HQ, and that's just not worth spending all that time when my artillery could be moving in to defend my HQ. So yeah, I know my opponent. I could see that my opponent has two tanks in the center, so I'm like, my one tank can't fight it. Just retreat. If I have to choose between losing my properties or losing my units, lose the properties, because if I lose my units, the properties are gone anyway. So I just pull back. Well, if you need to front shift, which is typically for more aggressive play styles, you would front shift in the center where it's open and free. So I consider my opponent more aggressive because he's going in to control the center. He can attack either side if he wanted to. He's in a position to do that. But you would front shift in the open center rather than behind behind the river, because if you're trying to shift behind the river, that will take way too long to front shift, and you typically want to shift quickly enough. Oh, so there is a bug with the replay. It looks like my infantry just walked into the same tile as the recon. That's not what happened. My recon went to the right and got trapped by that infantry on the property that's capping that neutral property in the fog right now. My recon went there and got trapped by it, which I'm perfectly fine with because if I do get attacked by any potential tanks, my artillery would be able to shoot at the attacker. Yeah, you see my recon is now underneath that capturing property, and my opponent captures my properties. Despite losing the center property, we're actually even in income. So I'm fine with losing that property in the center. I'm also fine with losing my infantry because my opponent join capped, which means I lost an infantry, he lost an infantry essentially. Like, he does get a little bit of money back when he joins, but it doesn't increase his unit count, and that's what I really care about. So I'm fine with losing my infantry in a property in the center. And now he goes for another property. I decided I still don't want to fight him. At least not yet. In fact, the way I play, I would try to eliminate his unit count as much as possible. I still believe more units is better, so I pick off some free infantry. With a comm tower, 2 infantry attacking an infantry on a silo has about a 50% chance of success of killing it. In this case, I got it, so I got a nice shot on that tank. Now, my tank may be a little overextended, but I'm Andy. If he attacks, I can just heal it up with my superpower later. Oh yeah, he is very aggressive. Um, I'm not sure I like it though, because, well, it's typically my playstyle tends to be very, the infantry wall only protects from one side, and I can attack from the other side in a pincer. Now, my opponent can easily front shift right now, but I don't see any reason to do so. Oh, so his capping infantry, I got a free shot with an artillery, and then I killed it off with my recon and began capturing it. He might think that my artillery is in the woods, and that's why he doesn't try to stop my captures. And yeah, like a good player, he uses his recon first before moving in. And he's now shifting up because he saw my battlecopter approaching. Keep in mind, when I capture the property on the right, our income will be equal again, so it doesn't matter that I lost the center. And yeah, he may have got a shot on my tank, but it's fine. I'm Andy. I will heal it up later. It will come back at 9 HP. Well, I prefer 10, so I do move it to a property to heal up later. But yeah, I'm Andy. It's fine if I take a little bit of damage. And now I got a nice defendable position by my HQ. And I'm close enough to begin threatening his. I have an artillery nearby. But before I can make any attack, I don't want his recon seeing my stuff. Well, first pick off a few more free infantry, get my unit count way up. Unit count is very important for me. So I get rid of the recon and just prepare a defensive position. I don't need to attack right away. I could wait because I got more battlecopters and more tanks coming up, and I rather wait for my more vehicles before I begin any attacks. If you notice, I've been building battlecopters every single turn now, like the past 4 turns. That's all just to get my unit count up. Like, that's the only reason. Well, there's a second reason, but the primary reason is to get my unit count up. So, yeah. Now that my battlecopters have reached the left side, I can start retaking the center to get a income advantage. So my plan right now is to retake at least one property, and maybe go for more in the center if it's viable. But I can definitely take the one that's my property, I would say. So I know that I have 2 battlecopters on the left side, and my opponent may have an anti-air. I don't know if they do, but I have 2 battlecopters, so it's fine if I lose one of them. And then if I focus fire that anti-air, if my opponent had one, then my other battlecopter can reign without any fear of a counterattack. So I thought, okay, let's attack. Send in my recon to see what's going on. I do not know what's in the forest, but it's just an infantry. So I decide to go in. Battlecopters. If I lose one, it's fine. I have another one. And just to make sure my artillery remains safe, I put a tank in the way. My tank's on the back, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never be ashamed to count your tiles. It can be just to know where your units can reinforce. But my backmost tank can currently reinforce all the way to my battlecopter right now, so it's perfectly covered. And I send another battlecopter. In other words, if my opponent tries to, well, sends an anti-air to destroy a battlecopter, I will still have 2 battlecopters attacking. I notice most people don't build enough air defense, so I like battlecopter spam for that as well. Yep, and another battlecopter. I have 5 battlecopters now. So the only thing his artillery can shoot at is my infantry, and I'm fine with losing a battlecopter. I'm ahead in unit count. That battlecopter used an airport instead of a base, so I'm fine with losing some battlecopters. He took out my recon. Okay, I have another recon, so I still have vision. I see a tank move into that forest, which I'm like, okay, there's no artillery in there, it's fine. And oh yeah, I play in tier 2. I would play Eagle almost every map, even if it's, well, I say almost. I am playing a map where I may regret picking Eagle right now. Right now I'm playing a map where I may regret playing Eagle because I realized a little too late that the HQs seem very exposed, so I can't exactly stall it out as much as I want to. Alright, so I just pick off. Now this is a move that I did not like on my end. I wanted to get rid of that infantry by the artillery, and I chose to attack from the top. If I wanted vision, I should have attacked with the tank on that artillery, and that would give me all the vision anyway. But now, because of my position of my anti-air, I can't just keep attacking. So that was a mistake on my end. But I thought, okay, Andy gets movement from his superpower, so maybe I should go all in, pop my super, and then attack. This was also a mistake on my end. I forgot I was so in the process of saying I should attack right now. I forgot for a moment I thought I was playing max and I thought I was going to get 2 movements for my tank. But I only got 1, so I'm like, all right, I already committed this far. I'm going to keep attacking. I'm my battlecopter is now in range of his other anti-air on the right side. Alright, but I'm getting rid of his tanks. Okay, I'll just... Maybe I can protect my battlecopter with that artillery and moving another infantry to block it. No, he could just break through if he wants to, but... No, just something to buffer it, I guess. And I keep moving up. And... So at the end there, I actually moved my infantry uh, into my black boat because I thought, okay, the Drake super is coming. I might as well load up my infantry so that infantry doesn't get hit by the Drake super. I'll save 200 funds doing so. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that goes in my head. But instead, my opponent resigned. This is a game which I believed I did not deserve to win yet. I believed a Drake super, like when it's an Andy versus Drake matchup, you typically want to, if you're playing as the Andy, you typically want to wait until Drake uses his super before you use your own so you can heal it up. In this case, I already used my super. Drake has a lot of potential for counterattack here. I do believe he could have at least tried to fight for a stalemate. A stalemate would have been better than a loss. Oh yeah, it can be very demoralizing to see the kill death numbers, but keep in mind I just activated my super. Drake still has the super. He has a lot of counterplay. So maybe the game is actually over and I would win, but I do not believe, I still believe it was a little premature as... Okay, it might not have been too premature since I have so many battlecopters which he doesn't have the air defense for them all. So I suppose in that sense the game is actually over. But all of my units would have been weakened and my advance would actually be halted pretty badly. Oh, my opponent's vision. Let's see what my opponent sees. Maybe that's why. Well, my opponent should know that I also have 2 battlecopters in the fog because they've seen it there. Alright, let's see what they saw on this turn. Okay, yeah, I can see how it's demoralizing to see all this. Yeah, I can see how this is demoralizing. Yeah,